from a speeding SUV in Ohio that rolled through the median after one bad overcorrection, to a white Nissan in Georgia that flipped after a pit maneuver and left its unbelted driver ejected, to a felon in Oklahoma speeding through red lights and parking lots before getting flipped. These are the 10 police pursuits that lead up to deadly crashes. Before we dive in, hit subscribe and tell us, do you think police chases should have stricter limits? On May 29th, 2025, around 6 p.m., troopers were monitoring speeds along I-75 in Franklin Township. A GMC Envoy passed by at 82 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone.
King Frank Victor 2387. King Frank Victor 2387. They're gonna stop south on 32.
A trooper attempted a traffic stop, but the driver did not comply. Instead, she continued driving, refusing to pull over.
We're coming up to the rest area. I'll get in front again so you can push her over towards the shoulder.
Light traffic.
After a short pursuit, the driver veered off the right side of the highway. She overcorrected, lost control, and the vehicle rolled several times before stopping in the median.
Clearly, it'll be down the county line. Traffic.
Off the right side of the road. Right in 31. Right, 31. Start EMS.
North lot, signal high. Purposely driven off the red, rolled over about 6 times.
A nurse passing by stopped to help at the crash site while EMS was en route.
Did I see you, nurse?
We're not moving her quite yet. She was wearing a seatbelt down, so.
She was.
That's what she said.
She's
Good.
Stay still, sweetheart.
The driver, identified as Jennifer Wilson, was treated for minor injuries. After receiving treatment, Wilson was taken to jail. She was arrested for OV1, failure to comply, and operating a vehicle without reasonable control. Every reckless decision behind the wheel risks not only your life, but everyone else's. On May 8th, 2025, at around 8:12 p.m., a Ford Escort turned north onto the U.S. Highway 271 without displaying a license plate. A trooper attempted a traffic stop, but the driver refused to yield and sped west onto Rutgers Road. The suspect continued west, then turned south on Texas Road, crossing into Oklahoma. Near Pensacola, the Ford turned onto U.S. Highway 112 and accelerated recklessly.
Coming up the Texas Road. It might have still going. We're on a dirt road going back towards 271, I believe. Looks like he threw something around the side. We're parallel on a power line. I'm not sure which direction we're going.
The pursuit continued southbound. The suspect ran non-stop without slowing down.
I'll try to TV on him if I get a good spot.
Shortly after, the driver lost control and crashed head-on into a dirt embankment along North Gray Street. The suspect exited the vehicle and fled on foot into a wooded area.
He stayed on Gary. I'm still south, I guess. He just crashed out. He just crashed out. On foot, on foot. We're going these crossing the fence. We're going through the field. Get on the ground, motherfucker!
A K-9 unit searched the area but couldn't find the suspect that night. A phone recovered from the car led troopers to identify the driver as Michael Richardson. The next day, Richardson turned himself in and admitted to fleeing. He was arrested on felony fleeing, driving on a suspended license, and no insurance. Running from the law may delay justice, but it never outruns it. On May 18, 2022, just after 10 a.m., a state trooper spotted a silver Toyota Camry merging onto I-630 from Cumberland Street. The driver wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and a second male was in the passenger seat.
For Adam 44, 30 West Roosevelt.
The vehicle continued onto Interstate 30 westbound, then exited at Roosevelt Road. The trooper attempted a traffic stop, but the driver ran a red light and sped away eastbound on Roosevelt Road. The suspect drove on the shoulder to pass traffic, then turned northbound onto the service road and re-entered I-30.
Back on to 30 East, occupied 2 times, 2 buttons.
Speeds reached 129 miles per hour as the vehicle weaved dangerously through traffic.
Copy, and we're patched in with Little Rock and North Rock.
Near the I-40 interchange, the driver lost control, hit a street sign, and the car rolled several times. It came to rest on its side near a construction access road.
Just wrecked out. Started 1016.
10-4, North Interchange?
Yeah, 10-4. It's a rollover.
Copy.
The passenger was found sitting on an embankment. Driver was identified as Marcus Scott. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The passenger was identified as Dior Cox, and he was taken to the hospital. A search of the vehicle uncovered a loaded Glock, extra magazines, 130 grams of marijuana, packaging materials, and a digital scale. After being medically cleared, he was arrested and booked on drug and firearm charges in Pulaski County Detention Center. On January 9th, 2025, at approximately 2:49 p.m., a Florida Highway Patrol trooper spotted a black Chevrolet Camaro speeding westbound on Memorial Boulevard. The trooper attempted a traffic stop, but the Camaro's driver, 22-year-old Jaziel Calero Nuez, briefly used a turn signal to appear compliant. Instead, he suddenly merged back into traffic and fled at high speed. Nuez weaved through traffic, ignored traffic signals, and made sharp turns in an effort to escape. The pursuit continued through busy city streets, with multiple troopers joining in. At the intersection of George Jenkins Boulevard and Kathleen Road, the Camaro ran a red light and crashed into both an SUV and a sedan. The crash disabled Nuez's vehicle and injured the SUV's occupants. Troopers saw Nuez reach for a stolen rifle before he was tased and arrested. 2 people in a crashed SUV were seriously injured. Inside the stolen Camaro, officers found 49 grams of marijuana, burglary tools, a large amount of cash, and a programmable key. He now faces multiple felony charges, including fleeing police, possession of a stolen vehicle, drug trafficking, and resisting arrest. On December 31st, 2024, more police identified a vehicle linked to a wanted subject with felony warrants. When officers attempted a traffic stop, the driver refused to pull over. The suspect began driving erratically, blowing through red traffic lights, swerving into oncoming lanes, and ignoring all rules of the road.
Westbound, it's a white Dodge Ram pickup. Southbound on Walker. Southbound on Walker.
So you're southbound Walker?
He's gonna come back northbound on Walker. Northbound.
Just moments later, the driver recklessly cut through parking lots, weaving between parked cars and pedestrians in an attempt to avoid capture.
Through the Casey's gas station parking lot. Now Johnny's still in the parking lot. Out to the service road.
Where are you from?
Going back west on 240. West on 240. Get her now, Darby. TBI now.
Officers attempted a tactical vehicle intervention, ramming the suspect's car in an effort to bring the chase to an end, but the maneuver failed. The suspect pressed on, still driving aggressively.
Westbound, Castle Western, 247.
Near I-240 in May, officers executed another tactical vehicle intervention. The suspect's car flipped onto its side and came to a stop.
Well, light traffic for 240 with about 28 mile an hour, still westbound.
TBI crash, start medical, 240 in May, start medical.
Sorry, TBI, 240 in May, starting in
The driver, identified as 35-year-old Kayla Cervantes, was arrested without further trouble. After being medically cleared, was booked into the Cleveland County Detention Center. She had multiple warrants and planned to sell fentanyl, meth, heroin, and drug paraphernalia. Actions behind the wheel can carry consequences far beyond the road. On February 6, 2024, a deputy patrolling Sparta Road in Sebring, Florida, spotted a speeding white Dodge near Cal Ranch Road. The deputy turned around to follow. The Dodge immediately fled, swerving across double yellow lines and making sharp turns. At Skipper Road, the suspect lost control briefly, then stopped, facing two patrol vehicles. Deputies attempted a pit maneuver, spinning the car, but he kept going. Despite the crash, the driver fled again. The Dodge swerved into both lanes before a second pit finally disabled it. The driver crawled out and lay prone behind the car, hiding from officers and ignoring commands. He was identified as Jaquan Salvalis Hall. He had no valid license and now faces charges for aggravated assault on an officer, fleeing, and more. A high-speed chase, a deputy injured, and a violent end. On January 19th, 2023, a white Nissan Murano fled from police, cutting through a yard before heading toward Georgia 204, where troopers picked up the chase.
All 38.
538, I'll be 1080. Georgia 204, Grove Point Road. It's a white Nissan Murano. The tall medical on 712, TAJ 712.
Ignoring lights and sirens, the Nissan raced east on Georgia 204, then made a sudden U-turn at Sweetwater Station Drive and sped west.
We're trying to chase this car right now. Go. Okay. Get
Report back to your primary thing.
So go for a second. We want to get a little more speed before we try to do this thing. Don't try to hit it this way.
As the SUV neared the busy E95 area, troopers ended the chase with a Paiti maneuver. The Nissan hit a barrier, flipped several times.
We're setting up to 204. middle of the road. In the middle of the road. Hit it. Hit it. There you go. Hit it. Hit it. Stop. Okay, hold on. In the middle of the road. In the middle of the road.
The unbelted driver, later identified as Amy Humans Paget, was ejected onto Georgia 204's left lane. Troopers found Paget breathing but unresponsive and waited for EMS. Paramedics took her to the hospital where she later died. Reckless choices can turn escape into tragedy. On May 7th, 2024, around 1:15 p.m., Whitehall police found a stolen car linked to a robbery. During the chase, the suspect's car crashed into a police car, and 3 other patrol cars were also damaged as the suspect tried to escape. The Hyundai took a hard turn. A cruiser tried to block it, but missed. The driver punched the gas and rocketed away at high speed. Hyundai lost control for a moment, skidding on the road, but quickly gained control again and kept driving. Officers attempted multiple pit maneuvers. Even after a glancing crash, the Hyundai kept rolling.
Shopping mall, behind the south one, downwest.
Eventually, an officer performed a successful pit maneuver. The stolen Hyundai veered off the road and crashed into a tree, ending the pursuit.
631, 638, Pat.
Are they agree on all the plates?
631, Climb in Riverbend.
Our chopper is at the entrance way to the football stadium. Here, right up Mount Street, or southbound.
Get out.
Back to that and
The suspects were 2 teenagers. Both were taken into custody without further incident and have a history of stolen cars. They remain in juvenile detention, awaiting their next court appearance. Crime runs fast, but justice catches faster. On October 2nd, 2024, Arkansas State Police spotted a stolen vehicle blazing northbound through Texarkana. Within seconds, the trooper hit the lights and the chase was on. The driver weaved recklessly through traffic, pushing nearly 100 miles per hour on eastbound I-30. The trooper nearly boxed him in, but the suspect regained control and kept running.
They're about to crash out. We're about to 6.
Then came the final moment. As he swerved off-road and tried to shoot back onto the interstate, the car lost traction, flipped, and tumbled into the median.
It's traffic clear. I'm going to try to get TV out. I'm passing on the left inside shoulder. They're about to wreck out right here. Looks like, yep, they're wrecking down the median. Roll over, roll over.
The driver, a 17-year-old already out on bond for a murder charge, was pulled from the wreckage and taken into custody. Now, he's facing charges for theft and fleeing, with his $250,000 bond revoked and another $250,000 added on top. From a murder case to a wrecked car and a revoked future, this young suspect's flight ended in the dirt. On Saturday, August 10th, 2024, around 6:34 p.m., a trooper spotted a black Dodge Charger on SH 158, matching a bolo for a stolen vehicle. After confirming the license plate, he followed from a distance while waiting for backup.
They're about to crash out, we're about to 6.
As the Charger approached the SH 181 intersection, the trooper activated his emergency lights to initiate a traffic stop. The vehicle immediately accelerated, fleeing eastbound at dangerously high speeds.
Jump Roger, take 1063, proceed turning, 1063. Discord 1037.
The Charger hit 160 miles per hour, ran a stop sign in Luxora, smashed into a utility pole and gas box, flipped over the tracks, and burst into flames. Troopers arrived moments later, found the driver injured beside the car, and gave immediate medical aid.
C-30, Jonesboro, I think he wrecked out.
10-4, 20.
Right here in Luxor, he wrecked out. He got fired.
10-1.
He wrecked out here in Luxor.
The suspect, later identified as Devondre James, was airlifted to Regional 1 Medical Center in serious condition. An arrest warrant affidavit will be completed once he is released from the hospital. One reckless choice at high speed nearly cost a life and put an entire community at risk.